In a single trading day, the U.S. stock market just made history. One announcement out of Washington sent the Dow to a brand new all-time high and the Nasdaq screaming up nearly 800 points. Trillions in market value appeared almost out of thin air. And tucked inside that chaos, a handful of companies quietly won billions. Here's exactly who cashed in. It started with 5 words nobody saw coming. Trump announced a framework deal with Iran to end the war. Oil prices dove. Fear evaporated. And Wall Street did what it always does when uncertainty disappears overnight. It bought everything in sight. But the gains weren't spread evenly. Some companies barely moved, while others added entire fortunes in hours. The split tells the real story. First, let's set the scene. For weeks, traders have been terrified. The conflict in the Middle East threatened the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow waterway where roughly a fifth of the world's oil flows. If that closed, oil could rocket past $200 a barrel. Every analyst on TV was bracing for disaster. The whole market was holding its breath. Then everything flipped. When the deal hit the wires, oil didn't spike, it collapsed. Prices dove as the threat to global supply suddenly vanished. Cheaper oil means cheaper everything. Lower costs for airlines, lower costs for factories, lower costs for shipping. Investors instantly realized inflation fears were melting away. And that single shift unlocked one of the most explosive market rallies in recent memory. The numbers were staggering. The Dow Jones popped to a fresh record high. The Nasdaq jumped almost 800 points in one session. Wall Street's famous fear gauge, the VIX, tumbled hard as panic drained out of the market. Money that had been hiding in cash and bonds came flooding back into stocks. It was a textbook relief rally, just on a massive scale. But here's where it gets interesting. A rally this big always has clear winners and quiet losers. While the headlines screamed about records, smart money was scanning for the names that would benefit most from peace and cheap oil. And a list of billion-dollar winners surprised almost everyone. Let's count them down one by one, starting with the biggest of them all. Winner number 1, NVIDIA. The chip giant jumped as markets soared on peace hopes. NVIDIA is the single most valuable barometer of risk appetite on the planet. When fear leaves the market, money pours straight into the AI trade. And NVIDIA is the AI trade. In one session, its market value swelled by tens of billions of dollars. Again, why does NVIDIA move so violently on news like this? Because it's now so enormous that it practically is the index. When the Nasdaq jumps 795 points, NVIDIA is doing a huge chunk of the lifting. Investors treat it like a leveraged bet on optimism itself. Good news on Iran? Buy NVIDIA. The reflex is almost automatic now across Wall Street. And the gains rippled across the whole chip world. Micron, SanDisk, Cadence Design Systems, Amphenol all surged on the same wave. Semiconductors are wildly sensitive to global confidence because they sit at the heart of every supply chain. A peace deal calms shipping lanes and steadies demand forecasts. So when the war fears faded, the entire chip sector lit up green together. Winner number 2 might shock you, the airlines. Think about it. Their single biggest variable cost is jet fuel. When oil prices dive, their profit margins instantly expand without lifting a finger. Cheaper fuel flows straight to the bottom line. So as crude collapsed on the Iran news, airline stocks caught a powerful tailwind that traders rushed to price in immediately. JetBlue was even making headlines with new Florida expansion plans that same morning. The timing was perfect. Lower fuel costs plus growth ambitions equals a story investors love. Every dollar that oil drops is millions in fuel savings for a major carrier over a year. Multiply that across the entire industry, and you're talking about billions in newfound potential profit. Now here's a contrast nobody talks about. The same falling oil price that rescued airlines absolutely hammered energy companies. Oil producers make money when crude is expensive. So while one corner of the market threw a party, drillers and oil majors watched their forecasts shrink. In a peace rally, the energy sector is often the quiet loser hiding behind the celebration. Winner number 3, the industrial and aerospace giants. GE Aerospace, Howmet, Emerson Electric, PACCAR, all of them lapped the broader market on the same day. Why? Lower energy costs squeeze their expenses while a stable world boosts their order books. These are the unglamorous machines that build planes, trucks, and factory systems. And they thrive when the global outlook brightens. GE Aerospace, in particular, sits at a fascinating intersection. It builds jet engines, and airlines fly more when fuel is cheap and confidence is high. More flights means more engines, more parts, more service contracts. So a peace deal that helps airlines flows directly back into the companies that supply them. The whole aviation chain rose together in a single coordinated surge. Then there's copper, and the name that rules it, Freeport-McMoRan. The mining giant beat the market on deal day too. Here's the logic. A world at peace is a world that builds data centers, power grids, electric vehicles, all of it hungry for copper. Lower geopolitical risk means more construction, more demand, and a brighter future for the metal that wires everything. Copper has earned a nickname on Wall Street, Dr. Copper. Traders say it has a PhD in economics because it predicts global growth better than almost anything. When copper rises, optimism is real. So the fact that Freeport-McMoRan jumped on the Iran news wasn't random. It was a market voting that the global economy just got a whole lot safer. But the single most dramatic winner wasn't even directly about Iran. On the exact same explosive day, SpaceX rocketed onto the public market in a blockbuster IPO. Its shares surged at midday, sending shockwaves through the entire stock market. The timing couldn't have been more perfect, a peace rally and the biggest debut in years colliding in one historic session. The SpaceX debut reportedly minted the world's first trillionaire on its very first day of trading. Read that again. A trillionaire, not billionaire, created in a matter of hours as the stock exploded out of the gate. Wall Street's fear gauge tumbled even further as traders piled into the shares. It was a frenzy on top of an already euphoric market. Why did peace hopes and a giant IPO supercharge each other? Because confidence is the fuel for risky bets. When war fears vanish, investors feel brave. And nothing tests bravery like a fresh, high-priced new stock. The calm for the Iran deal gave traders exactly the green light they needed to chase the most speculative debut in years. Perfect storm. And SpaceX's arrival did something bigger than mint a fortune. Analysts pointed out it sent a powerful signal to every investor watching. It proved that even after a massive run, there's still appetite for new growth stories. The market wasn't just relieved about peace, it was hungry for the future. That combination is incredibly rare and incredibly powerful all at once. Let's zoom out, because there's a stunning fact hiding in all this. The SpaceX IPO revealed just how concentrated the stock market has become. A small number of giant names now drive almost the entire index. When they win, everyone's portfolio wins. When they stumble, the whole market shakes. That concentration is both the rally's rocket fuel and its hidden risk. Bloomberg even noted the market is about to get more stock, more shares, more IPOs, more ways for money to flow in. After years of companies staying private, the floodgates may be opening. That matters because new supply can both feed demand and dilute it. For now, though, investors are treating every new debut like a gift. The mood is electric. Now back to the engine of it all, the Strait of Hormuz. The Wall Street Journal pointed out that stocks have even more room to fly if Hormuz fully reopens. That single waterway is the choke point for global oil. If the Iran framework keeps it open and safe, the relief rally might not be over. It could just be getting started. Think about the stakes. A fifth of the world's oil passes through a gap just a couple miles wide at its narrowest shipping lanes. Any threat there sends prices soaring and markets crashing. Any peace there does the opposite. So when traders heard the war framework could secure that passage, they didn't just buy, they bought aggressively, all at once. It wasn't only the mega caps cashing in either. Smaller names rode the wave too. Joby Aviation jumped on positive consumer sentiment around flying taxis. D-Wave Quantum leapt after an analyst raised its price target. Celestica, Tenet Healthcare, Bluebird, ServiceNow, name after name outpaced the market. When optimism returns this hard, the gains spread far and wide across the board. But here's the warning hiding in the confetti. Relief rallies are emotional. They're built on a single piece of news, and news can change overnight. A framework is not a signed treaty. If the Iran deal wobbles, every one of these gains could reverse just as fast as they appeared. Markets that rise on hope can fall on doubt. That's exactly why the Motley Fool flagged June 16th as a potentially huge day, one that could set the stage for what happens next. Follow-through is everything. A one-day pop is exciting, but the real question is whether the buying continues or fizzles. Traders everywhere are now watching to see if this record high holds or if it was a sugar rush. Some veteran analysts are doubling down on the bullish message. RBC Wealth Management argued the market is climbing a wall of worry, with corporate earnings brightening and the economy holding firm. Translation: the fundamentals are quietly improving underneath the headlines. That means this rally might have real legs, not just a temporary jolt from one diplomatic announcement out of Washington. Still, not everyone is celebrating. Invesco strategists made a sharp point. In the long run, it's monetary policy, not rockets, that truly drives markets. Interest rates, inflation, the Federal Reserve, those forces matter far more than any single deal or any single IPO. The peace rally is loud, but the quiet machinery of central banking always wins eventually. So who really won billions on Iran deal day? The chipmakers led by NVIDIA, the airlines freed from expensive fuel, the aerospace and industrial giants, the copper miners betting on a building boom, and above all, the brand new SpaceX shareholders who watched a $1 trillion fortune get created in hours. 5 very different winners, all riding the same powerful wave of confidence. And who lost? The energy producers watching cheap oil eat their margins. The bearish traders betting on chaos who got steamrolled. And anyone sitting in cash on the sidelines, watching a record-breaking rally pass them by. In markets, fear and greed trade places in an instant. On this day, greed came roaring back with a vengeance. The bigger lesson is timeless. Geopolitics and markets are joined at the hip. A single deal can reroute trillions of dollars overnight. Oil drops, fear fades, and money stampedes into the names positioned to benefit. The investors who understand those connections aren't guessing. They're reading the same map everyone else ignores until the headlines force them to look. Whether this record high holds depends on what comes next out of the Middle East. If the framework becomes a real, lasting peace and Hormuz stays open, this rally could keep climbing for months. If it falls apart, expect the gains to unwind fast. Either way, the market just reminded everyone how quickly fortunes can be made and lost. So keep your eyes on 3 things: oil prices, the VIX fear gauge, and whether the giant tech names hold their gains. Those 3 signals will tell you if the peace rally is real or just a fleeting moment of euphoria. The smart money is watching all of them right now, and so should you before the next headline hits. That's the full story of how one Iran deal sent Wall Street to record highs and created billions in winners overnight. If this breakdown helped you understand the chaos behind the headlines, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We bring you the biggest money stories on the planet, explained simply. Thanks for watching Money Stories, and we'll see you on the next one.